Governor Greg Abbot said it could be worse. It was worse. It was terrible. It was worse because cops had already arrived on the scene before he even got inside the school. It was worse because cops had a full shootout with this shooter, this 18-year-old, and he was still able to proceed inside. It was worse because while parents were pleading with the 40-something heavily armed cops that were sitting outside that school, while those parents were pleading because they could hear their kids being shot, hear their kids screaming, it was worse because the cops did not do anything for a full 40 minutes.
So the fact that Greg Abbott even uttered this statement, it could be worse, I want you to think about what that really reflects. It goes to show that he really doesn't think about this. He thinks about this issue so little that he would say something like that. You know, where 19 children and 2 teachers got murdered in a single classroom, he would say, well, could be worse. Well, I guess technically it could be worse. It could have been 20 children instead of 19. It could have been 100 children. But I guess technically if it was 100 children instead of 19, then it could also just, perpetually get worse endlessly. You see how stupid of a statement that is? Not only is it callous and uncalculated for the position that he's in, but again, it shows that he does not only does he not care about this issue, he doesn't think about it enough to have more tact than that.
You said this is not predictable. This is totally predictable when you
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Please leave
stop
the
this from happening.
So you need exit. Get out. You need exit. Get out. I can't believe you're a sick son.
And then look what happened when Beto O'Rourke went to the press conference to call out Greg Abbott to his face, to say, dude, you're doing nothing. You are doing absolutely nothing. Now, while people could say, oh, it was just a photo op and it was, well, he's a public figure. Technically, everything's a photo op. So that's just a stupid argument. This is an inherently political situation. The guy's, sitting around screaming, oh, you're making something political at this time. It will be, see, that might be a valid argument if this is something that, happened like once or twice and it wasn't so common. But the fact that it happens literally on a monthly basis, people are out here just shooting things up at a mass rate. Again, you go to this conference and he says you're doing nothing. He's 100% correct. So whether it's a photo op or not, our public figures need to be in these people's face more. And we have to be in these people's face more because we can't just sit back and let them continue to do absolutely nothing, like Beto O'Rourke pointed out.
We spend millions of dollars on police, billions maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. We spent billions on police officers, and it was a full 90 minutes to allow that man to barricade himself inside the school and kill 19 children and 2 teachers. It was worse because the cops didn't do anything. It was worse because we have gun issues.
Now, I was just explaining how in Japan, if somebody wants to purchase a firearm, they have to go through a series of interviews from law enforcement on why they need the weapon. Their family and friends have to get interviewed. They have to get a variety of permits. They have to undergo psychiatric evaluations. And look at, pretty much everywhere else in the world where these types of things don't happen. And yet it's always, well, we just need more guns. That's all the problem is. If everyone was armed, but again, this happened in Texas. There's enough people with guns in Texas. You better believe that there were people in Uvalde who had weapons. But again, these people it's not their duty to charge in and risk their lives to save the lives of other people. Not only is it not their duty, it's not their job. They're not trained to do it. Just because you're trained to shoot a weapon doesn't mean, so at the end of the day, this is all about gun manufacturers. That's all it is. We've known that for years. This is not new information. So like I say, all the time, we have to do better. We can't just sit around complaining about what the politicians are doing. We have to do better because this is our nation.